Hello, fellow DTS enthusiasts and Forex fans. It's Omar Altuki here, and I'm going to be providing a view at the week ahead so we can get an idea of potential trades that we might be looking for, and then we will let DTS provide the signals, and hopefully this will produce wonderful results similar to what I produced in December. I'm going to be doing this every week from now on. So that we get a nice fresh start to the week. We have a nice outlook of what may happen in the market, and we can adjust our trades accordingly. And then after our live trading on Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a market follow-up and a midweek report that's going to give us an idea of where the market has gone since our Sunday or Monday outlook. We're doing it Monday this week because Martin Luther King Day and a lot of banks are closed. So then we're going to do a weekly wrap-up. So each part of the week we can discuss what's going on in the market, and that will give you a better picture and a complete view of what's happening in Forex. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to keep this focused to 5 pairs, the majors, and a couple of yen crosses, just so we don't get overwhelmed with too many pairs. And of course, the best place always to start is the Euro USD, and that's the chart I have up right now. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and zoom out to the weekly chart. That is the usually best place to start. And what we can see is that last week we had a very bullish candle, and that moved us and closed above this area of 3,300, and then there was a minor support and resistance just above that.
Scalp.
As you can see, for several weeks before, 1, 2, 3 weeks, the market attempted to break through 3,300 and ended up closing below it. Last week, though, we broke through and closed above it. So now, clearly, we are bullish above 3,300, and that's where we're going to be focusing our trades. So here you can see right away that we have been in an uptrend for a little while, and it makes sense to draw a trend line from this point to, say, I want to always try to get as many touches as we can, as close as we can. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and leave that in place. And as I've shown you before, we want this to be on all our Euro USD charts so that it will be with us when we trade with the DTS charts. The weekly looks like we're in an uptrend, and we closed and broke above 3,300. So now after that, we're going to move down to the daily chart and see what information we can gain from that. Here it seems that for the past few days of trading, we have had a bit of back and forth action. So what I like to do when I see something like this is I will place a horizontal line at the top of the range, which seems to be around 3,400, and since we know whole numbers are important, we're going to make sure that that stays at 3,400. And to make it a range, we'll make it a width of 2, and we'll put it on all of our charts. And there we go. And you can see the lower end of the range is essentially 3,300. So we won't put a bottom line to the range, but it seems that at the moment we are above 3,300 in general, but staying below 3,400. So that being said, what we can do is we can do a couple different things. We will take any long signals that bounce off of 3,300, or what we're really looking for a bigger type of trade is we want a breakout of 3,400 followed by a pullback to that area of support and resistance, and then we'll be looking for DTS signals long above. If 3,300 does get broken to the downside, we'll look for a pullback to 3,300 followed by a short signal to go down. So those are the two options. Remember, in trading we have to remain flexible and be able to trade in both directions if the market warrants that. So again, we could always get a pullback to this this support and resistance here, and maybe going forward it might correlate with the trend line, and we'd be taking a bounce off of that area as well to go long, or a clean breakout of the trend line, which would mean that, in my opinion, the euro is back to being bearish again, and then that would be followed by a pullback and then a short signal to the downside. Again, we want to take trades that give us the best opportunity to let them run and make big pips. So we want to use support and resistance in this manner to give us kind of the guideline of where we want to look for trades. So on the Euro USD, we have a breakout pullback of 1.3400 to go long, or we could wait for a breakout pullback of 3,300 to go short, or we can play this range as well. We can take longs off 3,300 and shorts off 3,400 until this this range is broken. And what usually happens, the longer a pair gets trapped in the range, when the breakout finally occurs of that range, it does tend to run. So if we do get that 3,400 break, pull back, and then a long, what we're going to be looking for is a bigger trade. So we are going to adjust our trailing stop accordingly and give it a little more breathing room to let it run a long way. So that pretty much highlights what we're looking for on the euro this week. Let's get to the pound versus the US dollar. Alright, and here's the pound versus the US dollar. Interestingly enough, this is telling a much different story than we saw with the euro. Let's first of all go to the weekly chart, like we started with the euro. Okay, so I want everyone to pay close attention to the 1.6000 area here and what's been going on with it. These are weekly bars, so each one of these bars represents a full week worth of price action. Now what we've seen is that 1.6000 has held as support for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, almost 2 months. And price has remained above that on a weekly basis. Now what we can see is that even on this holiday, price has blasted through 1.6000. And remember, whole numbers are big, especially the more zeros, the bigger deal they are. So this is a pretty big area. And even though 7 weeks it could not break through it, it looks like we have plunged below it now. To the upside, 1.6300 was the top of the range, and that area has held, last time it was above it was in September of 2012. So we've had quite a few weeks of breakout below 6,300. And it does appear that 2 weeks ago we made a run at it, but it was a failed attempt at breaking 6,300, and price has subsequently broken below. As you can see, I've also placed our minor support and resistances on the chart, and you can see they're pretty well respected even on a weekly basis. So right now, this chart tells me that what we will be looking for is a pullback to 1.6000 with a view to a short. Now the problem with that is that our analysis on the euro seems to suggest that we are bullish. And I do not like taking opposite trades on highly correlated pairs. And the Euro USD and the Pound USD are very correlated, so they should be moving in tandem. So this is unusual, and this should make every trader take pause and make sure you double check and rethink any trade that you might be taking. So, but that being said, we do our analysis differently for each individual pair. That's why we don't just do analysis on one pair and apply it to all the pairs. So at the moment it looks like we have broken below 1.6000. We'll be looking for a pullback to this area with a view to a short, and we'll be allowing DTS to give us a signal for that. Now that is trade option number 1. Trade option number 2, which would better be suited with the euro, is that we get a breakout of 1.6000, a pullback to the line, and then a DTS signal long. and that would be preferable because, as you can see, there's quite a ways to run. First stop is around 6180, second stop is around 6270, and then finally 6300. Where this area right here, if we had a long trade all the way from 6000, and that's an almost 300 pip gain, we would be taking our money off the table here and then waiting for the breakout pullback of this area instead. Remember, we can take each trade for each segment of the support and resistance, but we should let the major support and resistances be a guideline for us. So with the pound overall, our two options are wait for a breakout and pullback on 1.6000, or just wait for a pullback to 1.6000 with a short. And that gives you both options for each direction depending on what the pairs do this week. With that being said, let's move on to the Aussie. Alright, now here's the Australian dollar versus the US dollar on a weekly chart. As you can see right away, we have been stuck in a bit of a range for quite some time. And this range is from about 1.0300 to about 1.0600. And what we are essentially looking for is one of two major trades for big pips. Is that we want a breakout of this area with a close, and then a pullback to the line. It doesn't have to be that big of a breakout, but it's somewhat of a breakout. Pullback and then a short. Or, alternatively, which it looks closer to, is that we get a breakout of 1.0600, a pullback to it to test it, and then run away. And those are our two major trades we're looking for. But because, as you can see, for the last few months, this range has been respected, we don't have to wait for that to happen to make a trade. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the daily chart, and we can now see a little more zoomed in, if you will, what's going on. And I've also placed these minor support and resistances, and one is at 1.0500 and the other is around 1.0450. I want to illustrate something here. In the area between this area, between these two minor support and resistances, I would consider this a no man's land. So we will not be entering any trades here, and we probably shouldn't be in any trades until we have cleared this area either to the upside or to the downside. So right away, if we want to make intraday trades, we could wait for a DTS signal long off of this area. Or if price comes a crashing down, we wait till a breakout of 1.0450, a pullback to this area, and then a DTS signal short. As price approaches 1.0600, let's just say that the first option was the one that was in play, and we get a nice long signal here, and it's almost 100 pips up to 1.0600. We will be closing out our trade at around this area here, in case price decides to reverse and come back down again. Since we've been stuck in a range for a while, that makes sense. And remember, once we take our money off the table, we can essentially reload and get ready for the next set of trades. So our next options are either a bounce off 1.0600 and a DTS signal short, or alternatively, and this is the one I would prefer because it gives us a bigger room to run, is that we get finally a breakout of 1.0600, a pullback to this line, and then a DTS signal long, and we should have quite a ways to run after that. So we would give our trailing stop a bit of breathing room and let the trade manager do the rest for us. Alternatively, if price decides to keep going down, we would, like I said, look for the breakout pullback of 1.0450, or alternatively, we let price come all the way back down to this area here, and we take a bounce trade off of that. So on the Australian dollar versus US dollar, we have quite a few options as far as trades go. Obviously, the one that's closest to where price is now is the bounce off 1.0500 to the long side. If price gets particularly bearish, we're looking around this area here. And if price, after of course we get a huge win at 1.0500 up to 1.0600, then we're looking for a breakout in this direction or a bounce back down. And DTS will be our guide as far as when we enter. and the trade manager will manage it for us. But we have to be prudent in when we close our orders to keep them from having to fight through a big area. And also, if we get a long from 1.0500, it then gives us an opportunity to go short of 1.0600. So one of the best things about day trading is that you can make money in both directions. We hear all the time from people that don't trade, oh, well, the market went up today. You made a lot of money, right? Well, it depends. We can make money in both directions, so the market doesn't have to go up. We can go down and we can make money. And that's what we're going to be looking for with DTS on the Australian dollar. Let's check out a couple of yen crosses. Alright, now here is the Euro-Yen on the weekly chart. And as you can see, right away we have been put on quite a run. This is a huge gain after bottoming out at around 9,400. As you can see, it has gone up, especially in the last few weeks. Few hundred pips, almost 1,000 pips. That's quite a run. Actually, from down here at 100, we've gone up almost 2,000 pips. So, but 1.20 does seem to be an area of resistance, and that should be we should immediately place a line there. Remember, whole numbers are usually pretty big, so we're going to want to, again, apply this to all our charts so we can see it on our DTS charts. And you can see in the past, it was a big area. That's where price came up to, and then immediately, once it came up there, it couldn't hold it and crashed back down again. So now that we've come back up to this area, we'll be watching to see what happens next. This is actually a good area to fib. A lot of people have been asking me where we put our fibs. Well, here's a pretty good example of where to put a fib. So the 50% mark would put us right at 107.42. A pullback to 61.8 puts us at 110.60. And you can see right away that this was an important area before, 107.42. And even though the pair had not extended itself that far, it was still an area of support and resistance. And you can see it actually meets up with this area here, which is 108. I'm going to make this an important one too. So you can see in the past, 108 has been very important here, here, and again here. So that would be a big area to view as well. Now, looking at the weekly chart, we have a few more areas that are important support and resistances, and we'll go ahead and place those lines. It's about right there. And we'll see, it's around 111.50. Put it on all our charts. And then another one here. At around 118. Or we'll say 117.75. And so this is essentially the area we're going to be working with this week. So, and we move down to the daily charts. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the fibs. I was just using it for example. We always want to fib the big moves. So that would be perfect. We've had a nice run up. we're peaking out at around 120 or so, and then we would be looking for retracements down into those areas to go long again if this remains in an uptrend. Let's go ahead and bounce down to the daily chart and see what's going on. Alright, well, it does seem that this week we will be looking for one of a few trades here. You're looking for a pullback to around 118 or 1775 and then a DTS signal long. And that would actually get us up beyond, oh, I was wrong, it's not 120, it's around 121 and a half. So that's the big area of resistance, as we could see from the weekly chart. So we'd be taking a nice long here, and I've managed to make a lot of pips on the euro yen lately because the daily range has gone from what it was in 2012, which was around 70 or 80 pips. I've seen daily ranges lately on the euro that have been above 300 pips. Remember, if the pair runs, we can make more money. The bigger moves give us the opportunity to make bigger wins. And if we're looking at stops that are only 30 pips and a potential of gains in one day even of 300 pips, that immediately puts our reward-risk ratio at 10 to 1, which means that with one win, you could lose the next 9 and still make money. So, we're going to be looking for bounces off this area here, or shorts coming down from about 121 and a half. If this area is broken out to the upside, which we've had a pretty long move, I'm not sure how much longer it's going to go without some sort of serious retracement. If we do get a break here, be looking for a pullback and then a long again. And other than that, we can take bounces down off that area or back up off this area. Or, of course, as I've explained for other pairs, if we get a breakout to the downside here, we get a pullback, and then a DTS signal short. And that should be a good trade too. So again, it seems so far this week there are many pairs that are giving us plenty of trading options. All we have to do is pay attention to the lines and wait for signals that correspond to them. And for our last pair, let's go ahead and take a peek at the Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen. Alright, now here is the Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen on a weekly chart. And let's go ahead and start off by doing our horizontal support and resistance. Now remember, big whole numbers, especially more zeros the better, are big. And as you can see, 90 played a very big role before the last big move up. And then we have another area here that was big, but let's focus on 90 at the moment. Okay, and that'll appear on our lines. Now, as you can see, we never got a pullback back to 90. Remember, this is on the weekly, so these are pretty big moves. But we had a breakout that closed above 90. We got only a partial pullback. We never got the pullback all the way to 90. And that sometimes happens. Sometimes pairs just run up like this one did. But that's okay, because we can still play it. So, as you can see here, the only major support and resistance that we can see here that goes back to 2011 is 90. I'm not saying that there aren't any, but I tend not to look too much farther back than a couple years. We want to always weight the most recent important support and resistance as the most important. So we'll just leave 90 on the chart, and let's see what we can find on the daily. Okay, this gives us a little more information. We can see so far on the daily, the top of our range looks to be around 95. I'm going to put this on all charts so we can see it with our DTS. And then it seems that we also have, I'm going to consider a minor support and resistance here. Try to do it around there. And what do we see? So we'll say 92.50. I'm going to make this a different color since we're going to call this a minor support and resistance and not a major support and resistance. But we still want it on our charts because this gives us a little bit of a guideline as to where we're going to trade. Another one can be seen here.
Scalp.
Say 91.
Swing. Trend.
Okie dokie. So now it's going to be essentially the same that we've discussed with the other pairs. We will be looking for a DTS signal to come short off 9,500. We could wait for a pullback to this area, followed by a long signal, and ride it back up to 9,500. Remember, if we're taking a long, we're going to take our trade off here so that we can capture the most profit and then potentially get another short signal. We never try to predict what the market's going to do. All we do is look for the contingencies that are possibilities. And as I discussed, I can't remember which pair, this counts as no man's land, so we're not going to be entering any trades in this area. We can always wait for that major pullback to 90, followed by a long signal. And again, there's not a ton of space in here, but 90 is significant enough that I would take a long off of it if I got a long signal. Or we could always get the breakout to the downside, followed by a pullback, and then a short signal from DTS that way. Or, last but certainly not least, if we get a nice breakout of 95, followed by a pullback, we would be looking to long with a nice DTS signal. So it gives us, again, plenty of trade opportunities in both directions. And that pretty much wraps up what we're looking for on the majors this week. We are going to be doing the live trading session in the next London session, and these lines will be there. So I look forward to seeing everybody there. And I'll talk to you soon, and best wishes and happy trading. Look for the midweek update sometime in the middle of the week. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Oh, and if anybody needs to get a hold of me for any reason at all, I can always be reached at Omar, which is O-M-A-R, at dtsforexsystem.com. And you can reach me with all your questions, comments, concerns. Remember, I'm here to work for you. So if there's something you'd like to see or something you want to specifically work on, let me know and we'll do it. Again, happy trading and best wishes, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.